So I'm gonna make this video kind of as a documentary for me so that I know I can remember stuff. This '01 truck, the intercooler is from an '01 and the radiator is from an '05. The driver's side radiator hose, it fits, you have to trim it a little bit. The fan fits, but the fan shroud from the '81 is too wide. I'm gonna try the one from the Duramax. The passenger side hose does not fit, and this transmission line does not fit, but the radiator is an '05, and I think the crossover to the new trans was 2004.5, so it might just because of this radiator. Another thing the Duramax radiator does not have is the tap for the heater line, so I'm missing that. This AC line has to be bent a little bit around the intercooler. Another thing that's not going to fit is the TCM sets right here. That's not going to fit. I'm wondering if the Duramax fan shroud has the TCM holder, or whether I'm going to need to find somehow to do something with that. The stock, the ECM leaves room for just enough room for the outlet of the intercooler, so that's fine. I'll just have to trim the wheel well to get the intercooler piping to come up. It'll come up right through here and over, so it's going to go down between the fuse box and the ECM. It'll go down straight through the wheel well and into the intercooler, and I think that's the same way the Duramax does, but it just comes up and it enters the engine right here in the middle. There's no oil cooler, so if I do an oil cooler, those are the oil cooler lines, they can be cut off. I'm unsure if I'm going to run my transmission line through the radiator. Another thing, I might do some custom lines. The radiator cooler on the front, that's just a 1/2-inch pipe threaded into each of the radiator coolers. This is an O-ring fitting. There's an intercooler in here, and these thread inside the little cooler, and there's like an O-ring seal that seals it to the radiator, so those are really odd. Now on the 8.1 radiator, if you unscrew this, that's an O-ring fitting. So and this big nut is what seals that to the radiator. So in between this big nut and the radiator is an O-ring as well. So this screws into these. In '01 they screwed into the actual intercooler, and the intercooler had a separate nut that sealed it to the radiator, whereas the '05, this nut right here, it's what seals it to the radiator as well, and that fitting inside of there is, it was just a threaded fitting, so it would be much more difficult to make a custom line from these, and these are bigger and don't fit in there. So I'm not 100% sure I'm going to tap into the radiator at all. I might just leave these two lines empty. And I'm going to have to do a custom. This is a '01, I think '01, '02 AC compressor. They're different than the rest of them. The early ones had the single AC line, and the later ones had the dual AC line. If you have the dual AC line, the one hose, the pressure side should fit, and then you would need to make a custom suction side. The custom suction side wouldn't be that difficult. The pressure side has a pressure sensor in it, so making a custom one with a pressure sensor in them is more difficult. So I might be changing that AC compressor out to the newer style, so it fits in the same location. It's the same exact compressor, it just has that different fitting. With the oil cooler lines, I'm going to block them off on the block and pull the bypass out, because being turboed, I want that extra pressure. I'm less worried about oil cooling than pressure. With towing, I would be more worried about oil cooling than pressure. So, yep, this is Duramax intercooler in an 8.1.